With more on the potential strike, we are joined in studio by Mike Miller. He is the West Coast Regional Director at the UAW. Mike, thanks so much. Let's start with where negotiations stand and what are the sticking points as we head toward that September 14th contract expiration date.
Well, I'm not personally involved in the negotiations, but our bargaining committees tell me that the companies, the auto companies, have not made substantial progress on our core economic demands. They've made, Ford, GM, and Stellantis have made record profits in the last decade, $250 billion. And so we're looking to make record progress in these agreements, to have record contracts, and we're not there yet.
What specifically do you guys want?
Cost of living adjustments, just major pay increases, and to get rid of the system that came in after the Great Recession in 2007 to 2009, where it's called tiers. People doing the same type of work get paid different amounts of money. So to get everyone paid the same for doing the same job.
Ford, there's some reports that they are now training some of their white-collar workers to do some of the work that UAW workers do. What do you make of that, and what does that tell you about the state of negotiations, too? Well,
companies do things like that all the time. I don't think that you know, they're going to be able to make cars very well. It's not something you can easily step into and do. So it's probably just a stunt and a tactic. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot of time between now and contract expiration, which is September 14th.
How would a strike impact just the average consumer?
Well, if we stop making cars, you know, and you want to buy a Ford, GM, or Stellantis car, you're not going to be able to buy them. Inventory is going to dry up really quickly. And also, you know, here in California, we represent people who work at what's called parts distribution centers, mostly located out near Ontario. And so if you have a car that relies on those parts, you're not going to be able to get those either if your car breaks down.
How is the other strikes, because there's so many strikes happening right now, is that impacting your thinking, your approach to all this?
It's a very exciting time in organized labor. There have been, as you say, so many strikes in the last year, and there are many going on right now, and they're enjoying widespread popularity. The polling I read when you know, we also represent in the UAW about 50,000 academic workers at the University of California, and the polling that went on, we didn't do it, some other polling firm did it, for our strike, found that we had wild popularity across political lines. So I think it's a labor's at an all-time popular high, and it's a good time.
So you think ultimately this benefits you, the hot labor summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned, or we mentioned, the fact that it was 4 years ago there was another strike. I know that you weren't necessarily involved. What's different between the asks then versus the asks now?
They're pretty much the same asks. You know, it's just continuing to try to make progress on the core economic demands. Also, you know, with the transition to electric vehicles, that's an important aspect of these negotiations, which is far more significant this time than it was last time. States like California have made great progress in having very aggressive goals to have all electric vehicles on the road as soon as possible to fight climate change. And I think auto workers really have an opportunity to participate through collective bargaining in this transition to electric vehicles.
Yeah, of course, California mandating that there will be only electric vehicles sold from 2035 on.
Correct.
We'll see if that stays between now and 2035. Mike Miller, thanks for coming in. Keep us